Hi everyone, Soul17 here. Let me fuse like usual, now pictures, well not picture, and made the thumbnail non-paid video. Alright. So back to this one. I kinda realized I kinda forgot about this one a bit. And also I kinda need to try to figure out some things. But hey, I'm back to making this one. So, um this is part 3, and I kinda went back and watched my old videos. So I'm at the Zabuza, arc, the wave arc. And I'm like, oh, I forgot. Anyways, let's just get this thing started. So, this is part 3 of the, basically, what if Naruto became a Grave Walker. So yeah. So last time, basically, Naruto went on Team Asuma, Shikamaru went on Team 7, Sasuke and Sakura dated, Kiba and Hinata broke up, and, Ino's basically, hurts Naruto, basically trying to figure out why she was hurting, because of Soran and such, and Soran has changed because of Naruto. So we're gonna basically, in this part, we're gonna basically have Naruto get a few things. More magic, maybe a new subordinate, and maybe a bigger income. So yeah. Let's get this thing started. So, as soon as basically Asuma hears that, he gets a little bit serious and be like, why didn't I turn back? Which Hiruzen would say, turns out about basically Gado industry is monopolizing basically wave country into poverty. So, so he's basically trying to kill the client, which is the bridge builder Tazuna, so that way it would never basically become, so that way basically he doesn't lose anything. Which Naruto would, come forward and be like, basically, Lord Third. Which, basically, Hiruzen will look at Naruto and nod. He's like, I've heard about Gado. I basically met some of his men that were basically trying to spread out basically a little bit more than just wave country. They were trying to take over the surrounding areas, basically around them, which basically Hiruzen's eyes will widen, in which basically he would be like, are you sure about this, Naruto? He just nods. Be like, and also I think I should basically tell my team about my condition, at least. Even though I don't trust them, they must know about basically proceeding going forward. Which, basically, he was like, is there anyone here? Which Naruto basically, eyes start glowing, which kind of shocks, basically, Choji, Asuma, and Ino. And then, in a split second, Naruto was basically at, event as he brings down this Anbu of a root mask, and immediately, he basically places his hand as for some reason they see someone else with basically his face appearing on Naruto. Basically, he says, "You will serve me," as basically basically this Anbu that they're seeing is trying hard. He's like, bend to my whim, as he's basically using more power and such. Which basically the root, root Anbu or Anbu is basically kind of just, stops screaming and basically goes, remove your mask, as he does so. And basically this is basically, this is basically a ninja from the Hidden Leaf, but from a Yamanaka standpoint, in which basically Naruto goes like, Sauron, do you sense it? He thinks to himself, which Sauron will be like, yes, a seal. Cruel one. Basically, he'll kill the victim. Basically, if he tries to speak certain things. Basically, Naruto will be like, before I ask any questions, hold out your tongue. Which basically he will nod, as immediately basically Naruto will go, is there any spell base I can use that you can just teach me teach me that basically that's quick enough so we can basically get rid of this. Which he goes, yes. Basically, just place your hand and basically just think of basically seal break. It's a spell that works on, well, I came up with just recently. I'll give you the knowledge. As basically he tells Naruto the instructions and the knowledge of it, and he just smirks. So Naruto puts his hand, as his hand starts glowing, he goes like, seal break. And immediately his hand grows a little bit bright, and then when he removes his hand from it, this basically everyone sees the seal starts cracking and then breaks. He goes, now, where's your name? He goes, my name is Hikatsu, Lord Naruto. Which goes, alright then, Hikasu, you're part of the Yamanaka clan, aren't you? Which he'll nod. Which Ino's eyes will widen. Which basically he will ask, you basically look like you're in your 20s. Because I am 19. Huh. So that means you must have been taken by birth. Which he would not know. He was... Well, which Naruto's eyes widened. He was like, my parents didn't basically want me around because I was no good, so they gave me to Lord Don. Which basically he would stop and look at Naruto, which he was just nod and basically giving him the sign to keep going. He goes, my former Lord Donzo. Due to that, my brother was better than me. Which Ino cannot believe it. He goes, I see. I'm sorry to hear this, but can you tell me why you are here? He goes, I was here to spy on basically the third Hokage by Lord Donzo, so that way he can get information and keep track of basically what Lord Third has done, and basically any of his meetings. Which Naruto sighs, be like, that Warhawk, he'll never basically, does not matter. He keeps on doing this. Gigi, why won't you let me go storming into his base? You know I can basically handle myself. Which basically Hiruzen would sigh and be like, I know Naruto. But we cannot basically risk him basically escaping and then trying to cause a riot due to your condition. Which then all of a sudden Sauron will appear basically through the eye. You know, the flaming eye walks out of it. He goes, Hiruzen, we both know Naruto can handle himself. With the amount of power he has, and basically if he uses my armor with his weapon, he'll be able to conquer basically Donzo. Besides, I have a feeling there's more to just that man than basically what you tell. I can basically already sense basically just from the name alone he has done great evil. Being the Dark Lord basically has his perks to sense evil nearby. Which Naruto would nod to that. Which basically Asuma would be like, Dad, who is this and how was Naruto able to do that? Which Naruto will sigh, but like, I didn't want to say nothing after I told Ino, but 2 years ago, because of everyone disliking me, some people thought it'd be fun just to, well, pull a prank when I'm waiting for basically Sakura. It was near the woods, basically outside of Konoha, but rogue ninjas basically of Konoha came and attacked me, so I ran into the woods. Which, be like, but, what happened afterwards? Like, very, scared and worried. Which Naruto raised up an eyebrow, and he's looking at her, basically he can see just the fear in her eyes. Which he would just sigh, be like, simple put, I ran for my life, and I ended up basically crashing into basically you could say a sealed basically dungeon. which told you like sealed dungeon? It was, well, just a little bit of a cave, most likely made just to hold a ring. Which basically Asuma, a ring of all things? Which then Sauron would go, the ring of power. Which basically that would shock Asuma, and then he'll realize he backs away. He was like, "You're Sauron, the Dark Lord, the one who basically tried to conquer Middle Earth." He would say, which he would nod slowly. He goes, which Ino and Choji are just eyes widen, and well, Naruto goes like, yes, I put on the ring and I I met I had an unfortunate end to my life. Which their eyes widened, but Choji were like, but Naruto, you're here. You're standing and I'm dead. Which basically would shock them, but Ino's like, wait, what do you mean you're dead? Basically he can hear the tremble in her voice, the shock. He looks over, he can see the fear. Fear basically if it's true, and he just sighs, and Sauron was saying, unfortunately, this is where he cannot explain it fully even though I told him. It's a hard subject for him to tell people sometimes, especially to people he does not trust. Even though basically I can sense all of you will never tell no one. But due to your past, he has a hard time trusting you. Which she would nod, basically, and Sauron can see that she is very upset. Which he was saying, but I will say it. Which Naruto was just saying, like, please. Which Sauron was like, you see, the ninja basically that stabbed him put basically seals on the sword due to one of my magical spells that, well, was a curse. This curse would basically kill the victim, but you need more sacrifices. 3 to be precise. 2 basically victims, and then basically the actual, well, person that will be the one that has to place the curse on. They did it to Naruto here due to, well, as Naruto says, they'll have to know the truth. So, he looks at the root Anbu, which Hikashi, he would say, which he was like, yes, Lord. He's like, is there any more root Anbu around? Which he will not know. He goes, I am the only one. Which then, basically, Naruto would just look at Hiruzen, who would not put up the privacy barrier, seal basically. He goes, first off, I am the Nine-Tails Fox Jinchuriki. The Nine-Tails could not be killed because there was a massive amount of chakra. I was sacrificed due to the fourth Hokage, which Hiruzen would then basically add in, because I don't remember if I told, basically, wait, I'm trying to remember if I basically had him basically learn about his heritage. Give me a minute. Yeah, I did. Which, due to the fact he couldn't ask no one else for their, to sacrifice their child if he could not do it himself. Which, that would shock Choji and Ino, be like, you're. He goes, I'm the fourth Hokage's son. My true name is Naruto Nemekis Uzumaki. And I have basically have been suffering to this village ignorance and stupidity. All they see me as the demon. But how could basically a nine-tailed fox that's just made of pure chakra a demon? From my knowledge, what Sauron has told me, he is not a demon. He's only chakra. And chakra can never be killed while a demon could be killed. Which that would shock, well, everyone besides, well, including Hiruzen a bit. Which then basically Sauron would not. He was like, but let me continue. This curse basically puts you in between the world of life and death. Rebirth and death. He could never die, and he should never age. But the fact is, I basically use a spell to where he will basically age to his prime. That, though, seems to have been useful, since now he's able to age. Which I have basically done some some thoughts and calculations, and even some basically testing while Naruto was asleep, which Naruto's eyes wide. He goes like, what do you mean test? He goes, oh, nothing basically by, blood or basically experimentations. Which Naruto just has an eye twitch. He's like, okay, enough of you basically reading your crazy books. He's like, You're gonna take away my reading material? He's like, yes, stop reading mad scientist books. Jeez. Which, he's like, never. Which he just sighs. Which this makes Hiruzen chuckles. He's like, I never see you two act like this. He goes, well, technically he's acting like basically family to me, so... Which someone would not. He goes like, well, someone would not go like, due to the fact that, this curse will never basically let him die, he should be walking the world for all of eternity until he kills the person that placed the curse on him. But the curse done more than what they thought. Which Hiruzen be like, really? He goes, yes. You should know, after all, we did tell you about this. He's like, I know, but still. So interesting. Please. Which basically Asuma was like, what do you mean? He was like, Naruto hears the Uzumaki due to his father's genes being more, more, well, he has more of his father's genes. I forgot what the word was called. Pronounced? But basically have more of his father's genes. He has the blonde hair and the blue eyes, while the Uzumakis have red hair. But the fact is, due to him becoming a grave walker, they have unlocked his Uzumaki genes, and I basically, use some of my magic to see basically more than what it would do. He also would get his hair turning red a bit. So Naruto would then say, so wait, so that means I have yellow and red? Huh, what weird combination. Which Sora would not. But anyways, there's also due to the fact that Kushina Uzumaki had a nine-tailed fox inside of him, which was his mother. Which basically everyone will be the Asuma will be shot along with Ino and Choji, and then Naruto will be like, yep. Which basically then Choji will ask, wait, then how did the Nine Tails escape then? He goes, female Jinchuriki cannot handle cannot handle the seal being broken and they should die, or any Jinchuriki would, but especially how Biju can escape during childbirth for a female. That's when the seal is most weakened. Which then does that mean the Nine-Tailed Fox escaped? Which Naruto nods no. He goes, it would've, but if my father wasn't there, but someone took, or should I say, ripped out the Nine Tails. Which basically, Hiruzen would just be shocked, and like, how did you? Which Naruto basically has a mini flashback in his head about a year, basically in the middle of the second year. No, middle of the first year, like 1 year and 9. Yeah, 1 year and 9 months of him becoming a grave walker. Naruto was pulled into his mindscape, which Naruto was like, Kurama? You there? Which he's like, over here, kid. Which Naruto was like, yo, so, why'd you call me in here? He goes, it's finally time for me to tell you on everything and why did I attack the village. Which Naruto basically, would nod and sit down in a seat that he created in his mind. So he will explain everything. He goes like, so a masked man that called himself Madara Uchiha did this. Which Kurama would nod. He goes, but it wasn't. It was someone that was using the name. Could it be a student of his? Which basically Kurama says, I do not know, but all I know is it was not Madara, it was someone else. Give me a minute. Alright, so basically Naruto says, so that means he'll come after me eventually. By the way, I kind of forgot where I was at, but I do remember, for a minute, but I did remember basically Kurama said it wasn't. So, yeah. Which Kurama would nod. Which Naruto goes, things just got more complicated. Even though I won't die, I'd rather not die again unless it's in battle. We don't know what's going to happen. Which Kurama would nod. So, after that, Naruto just explains the situation, which, well, would, kind of shock, basically, them, which Hiruzen's a little bit surprised, which Naruto goes, and he's not really that bad, but there's, well, something else. That's a little bit of a troublesome situation for me. Which, kind of glares at him a bit for that. And he's like, are you acting like Shikamaru? He was like, no, it actually is troublesome. Which Sauron would chuckle, like, it's not that troublesome. He's like, I have fox ears and 9 tails. How do you think I feel? Which everyone's just confused besides Hiruzen, but he never saw them, so he technically is a little bit confused. Which, though, Asuma goes like, okay, what do you mean by that? He goes, Naruto decides to be like, okay, so, since my mom had the Nine Tails sealed in her, technically her seal was a lot more different than mine. It was supposed to keep the Nine-Tailed Fox chakra, be separate from her unless she uses it. But the fact is, some of his chakra is leaking through it still, because of how old it was. And since I was being born, my whisker marks turned out, so that means... Then Asuma realized that means you have the Kyuubi's chakra inside of you. That means it became a part of you, and finishes. So that means you're the Nine-Tailed Fox's son. Which Naruto's like, yeah, I am. And then fox ears pop out, and the tails. He basically looks at them. He goes like, "How do I look?" Which shows you like, okay, tails good, ears. It's like, I'd rather have them pointy and be my ears being elf-like than these. No offense, they're like rabbit ears. Which Kurama basically, comes out, technically in small, like, actual fox-sized form. He's like, hey, don't be disrespectful to the ears. Which was like, can it, Kurama? He's like, you wanna go, kid? He's like, bring it. Which Naruto slowly reaching for the sword while Kurama was about to release some Yuki. But then the ring basically starts glowing, which everyone sees. The ears disappear as the energy goes to Naruto's ears and makes them point like an elf. Which Naruto's like, huh? He feels them, he looks at the ring and then basically he's like, Sauron, I know basically your conscious is in the ring and stuff, in your soul, but the ring of power can't do this, right? Which Sauron basically would go, well, technically, it's called the Ring of Power, and basically no one ever was in Jinchuriki while they had it. So to be frank, there are basically some things even I won't know what it can do when it comes to that. Which Naruto was like, uh-huh. So, basically, Ino goes up to him, which she's like, Ino? She goes, Ino's like, I'm sorry for ignoring you and bullying you. Which Naruto's eyes widen, and then he kind of has a small smile and goes like, it's fine, somewhat. It did help me basically, not trust people all the way, and basically to always doubt someone and look underneath at an early age. Besides, it's not like I really have much emotions, which that would kind of shock everyone, and Hiruzen slightly, which he's like, is it due to, which Sauron and Kurama would just sigh and be like, it's due to his childhood, Kurama would say. Everyone hates him, beats him, nearly tries to kill him based on a daily basis before, well, this happened. And your protection that, started. A lot of the Anbu did help prevent it, but most of them didn't. mostly a team where it was basically dog and, basically weasel, or which basically Haruzen would nod, and then Naruto basically will say, "So I really don't know what love is like, or what love is." And then Storm will go like, "And with mine personality kind of merged with him a bit, it's kind of a little bit more complicated. I have no feelings or, well, care for basically mortals or humans, or anything else besides my own agenda since I am, the Dark Lord. But I have basically been learning how to basically have kindness and compassion and basically care for someone." As when he pats Naruto, basically head, which Naruto has a small smile looking at Sauron. It was, and it all started because of him. I had to teach him, and I have made a bond that was not basically where I would only use them and deceit them. And it would sound horrible to say, but that's how I was in my past. Since I've become a spirit, even though I would have tried to possess the boy, possess Naruto, I wish not to. I think I should basically, as I told him, watch and not conquer. Enjoy my life while I'm basically with Naruto. Which Naruto would just chuckle. Which basically Choji's like, "So you have this weird magical power, you can't die. You're basically a Jinchuriki / tailed beast itself, and you have a ring of power that can grant you, unique powers and stuff. And you can use magic. Yeah, that too. And you're not eating chips while talking." He's like, "Yeah, I'm kind of shocked too much to eat. Never thought I'd ever say that." He's like, "True." Which, basically, then sort of like, oh, and just to continue the discussion, since he has become, his basically chakra of basically being the QB, and his basically built chakra and DNA was awoken due to this curse, it would not even matter if he technically becomes, becomes or, a dead again, or lift the curse, since he is basically he is basically technically a humanoid, basically chakra entity son. He does have a unique things, like more healing factor, basically, and that means basically a stab to the heart would mean nothing to him anymore. The only way to kill him was take off his head. Which Kurama would nod. Naruto was like, "Wait, so that means if I get rid of the curse, I'll be alive again. And because that curse is gone, I can technically have a life?" Which Sauron was like, "Well, technically, me making a prime means you'll be basically probably age very slowly, but yet to look like you're in your 20s, while you would actually be in your basically 150s, so to speak." Which Naruto was like, "Huh." But that means technically I can also have kids if I want to. Which basically Kurama was like, "Yep, since you are technically, as I was gonna say, my son, even though I don't want you to call me that. Call me your dad, or them to call you that. You're technically you're already in between life and death, but technically you can do to basically what you are. You will die basically as, after you lift the curse, you technically will live and you will die whenever you hit your age is at an old age." So Naruto like, "Huh. At least I can start out with a family. That's good." Which basically Sauron and Kurama would nod as Kurama basically goes back into the seal. Which Haruzen will just chuckle at Naruto. He's like, "I would say I'm getting too old for this crap, but I'm basically happy to hear that for you, Naruto." Which goes, "Yep. So, let's help out Team 7 and see that, see basically Shikamaru and the two couples." well, not the two couples, and the couple, which, well, Choji be like, yep, just looking at Naruto, and basically she have a smile, even though basically it's somewhat sad, it's still happy. As, well, they will basically leave after Asuma say go pack up for basically a month's worth, while he still has to talk to the third Hokage to basically get more details. So, basically Asuma is told that he'll be basically in charge of the mission since Kakashi had to use the Sharingan and may be out of commission for a bit, which he'll nod. So, that is all he will basically say, but he will also say Naruto will have special, basically, permission to take down Gato if it is a necessary cause, since he is technically an Anbu, and that basically even, well, technically he was an Anbu, even though he was, Asuma still has rank over him, but if this, as I said, the situation, basically is needed for him to go and take down not Danzo, Gato, he is authorized to, with his special skills in case, which basically Asuma will understand, but he will ask what are Naruto's skills, which Hiruzen was saying there was too much to even basically to say, but just know this, he could be basically a Jonin already, which that would basically shock Asuma, but then smirk. So yeah. So, basically Naruto's packing everything along with Ino and Choji, which, well, Naruto's packing only basically his essentials. He does have his sword on, grab his sword, basically, puts it at his side, has basically scrolls, basically, and his, well, and his basically kunai, into another, basically, holster, but, it's only for, traveling that he makes it, and, well, he basically, would say out loud, Sauron, do you think I should get some armor? Like Talion? Or basically make it more ninja-like? Which, well, Sauron basically would appear and be like, it is up to you, Naruto, but I do basically think we should probably go to Mordor, or to basically Middle Earth to find the dwarves' well, home, find their tools, and find any secrets we can give to Higarashi's shop of, of their craft, if they have any logs of it. So we could have him basically make it. He may not be a dwarf, but he does make a fine weapon. Which he would not be like, so, when will you basically find someone, even though you are basically under two clans, you do have basically a clan resurrection act. Which Naruto would just sigh and be like, if I do go underneath that, I will basically have to basically choose basically five girls to be with me. And I rather basically choose people that actually would care for me. Which no one really would in this basically village. If I have to basically choose outside and basically if they would want to basically be here, then I would. Basically Naruto basically get up and basically walking out, which basically Sora will basically walk right, be right next to him and be like, who knows, Naruto, maybe you will find people. Which Naruto rolls his eyes and basically just smirk and be like, yeah, I just have to use my silver tongue and basically use my charm. Which basically Sora would chuckle, be like, you basically have basically the silver tongue, but never the charm. You're not me. Which Naruto would be like, yep, and I'm glad I ain't dead. Which he's like, hey? Which just looking at him just smirks. Sora would just kind of chuckle at that. So, after basically Naruto, locks up everything and leaves, basically, I would say Naruto would see basically Team Kurenai, and basically he would see basically, Shino, basically Kiba, and Hinata, which basically Kurenai would basically see Naruto. She goes, are you? Yeah, Naruto Uzumaki. The basically, well, Anbu at the that was only for a month. She was I am basically goes like basically Yuki Kurenai, Genjutsu specialist, basically Sensei to Kiba. Well, actually, Kiba Inuzuka, Hinata Hyuga, and Shino Aburame or Avria. Yeah, Aburame. Which she's like, so you remember, he was like, of course. I need to basically know, basically, if I will ever face him in the future. Which, basically, Kiba kind of glare at Naruto, Shinobi stoic, but you hear the hive buzzing, and then Hinata just kind of basically being passive. Where she goes, I see, you seem different from your file. Which he just chuckles, be like, of course I'm different. That file was made by people who hated me. Never trust it. Besides, the ninja's greatest tool is deception. Which he would nod slowly. Now, he would say, I do not know why you basically want to talk to me, but I basically have a mission I'm going on. So Naruto walked past, as then Kiba would just smirk like, so what's the dead last going on? Basically a C-rank mission or something? Which Naruto like, maybe. Which that would kind of shock basically him. Which he'll kind of, basically clench his fist and get angry. But Akamaru basically goes up to him and basically starts whimpering. Which that would kind of shock Kiba and Shino and basically Hinata. But basically even Kurenai a bit, which he basically looks down and basically see Akamaru basically really upset. Which goes, you've been doing this for 2 years, Akamaru. He would bend down and basically pet him. He was like, I'm fine. Don't worry. Which Akamaru barks, which he just sighs. And basically he looks like Kiba. He goes like, you should really take care of Akamaru. Which Kiba was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, first off, you've been basically, we're hanging out with Hinata a lot more during basically the 2 years, and Akamaru felt a little bit lonely. Did he not? Which basically Kiba's eyes widen, and basically he kind of looks away. He goes like, and two, he's been worried about you since basically you've been in your room. Which he was like, wait, how did you? He goes, Akamaru comes out to my place from time to time. I mean, your mom should know. She lets him out basically just to walk around during, when you're having your Soulkin Fest. Which Kiba's eyes widen. Basically, Akamaru would just walk over, but, be sad, and which Kiba would pick him up and pet him. It was like, how can you understand Akamaru? It was, it's, since I have. Basically, Naruto's thinking, it's also due to the fact that, basically, I am technically, well, dead, and basically, I also am basically Kitsune, so. Which Hinata basically just kind of looking at him with a passive look, which Naruto can basically see it, and he goes, which he finally just, saying, excuse me, I'm gonna be late. So he just starts walking. Which inside Hinata, she goes, he's different. Was he this? I mean, even though basically we know he's been hiding his skills, he's basically been on Anbu for basically a month. What type of missions have he gone on? She doesn't know who Naruto Uzumaki is because she thought she was better than him. So, what happens is very simple. When Naruto basically arrives, Asuma goes like, you're late. Basically by 2 minutes, he goes, Team Karen and I basically stopped me. Basically, Akamaru basically came up to me and asked me, well, not asked, but I could tell what he was asking by barking if everything was alright with me. Which he goes, you can understand? He was like, slightly. I guess it's been due to my Kitsune genes. Well, actually, he would say due to, which basically everyone would nod. I just told Kiba that Akamaru's been worried about him, though. And he's been lonely since he was dating, basically, Hanata. Which Choji like, ouch, that's a hurt hearing back to his best friend. Felt lonely. Which he's just eating some chips. He goes, yeah. Anyways, should we get going? Which Asuma would be like, but, we'll say to him. Basically, Lord Third basically told me to tell you, Naruto, if anything has to do with Gado, you are in charge of it, since you were Anbu for a month. Which Naruto will nod. Goes, I do have some of his goons as my a part of my control, so I technically can get the layout of basically summon one of them to me. The Nazgul, which basically, you know what, Nazgul? Which he's like, yes, one of my subordinates. Basically from basically the time where basically Sauron had them, along with the Lich, Lich King or the Witch King. Which that would kind of shocked Asuma. He was like, so that means, yes, they've been basically going around the Elemental Nation, gathering information from me, and also basically on certain, basically locations of herbs, or basically hunts that I can go on, so I can basically have food. And they also been helped train me basically in some of my elemental ninjutsus, which I only have basically probably 3 to 4 basically jutsus of each basically element, which I was just shocked Asuma and everyone else. Which is, you have all 5 chakra natures. Goes, magic is a key to basically to unlock chakra nature for me, so it helps. Which he just smirks at their basically shocked face. So he's like, anyways, we should get going. So basically they run off, and it doesn't take them long to get to basically the wave country. Instead of basically them actually going across the water on a boat, Naruto basically uses basically earth magic and to make basically a path of earth to go in, over the water, which shocked them, but gladly helped. So they arrive at Tazuna's house along with Nari and Tsunami. Being there. But when they knock on the door, Tsunami would answer and be like, hello, which basically she's like, being nervous and such, which Asuma would be like, we are basically from Kona, we're the backup. Which basically she was like, oh, come on in. So basically when they get there, he basically, Naruto, Choji, and basically Asuma would see Sakura and Sasuke chatting while Shikamaru was taking a nap. Somewhat. Well, taking a little nap. Well, by somewhat I mean he just was taking a nap and then he's waking up. Which Naruto basically would look around and he basically like, is Kakashi Sensei upstairs? Which basically Sakura would be like, yes, and you're the backup? Which Sasuke would just scoff. Basically like, what's the dope doing here? Which Naruto would just ignore him and walk upstairs. Which basically Asuma was like, Naruto, what are you doing? He was like, I'm gonna heal Kakashi. I could basically fill up his reserves quite quickly since my massive amount of chakra. Which he would not. Which I would kind of shock basically, Sakura, Sasuke, and a little bit basically Shikamaru, but basically Asuma was like, is there any rooms we can sleep in? If not, then we can sleep down here. Which was, we do have basically some rooms. Basically the boys can sleep in one room, but one of you or 2 of you have to sleep down here. Which, basically, saying, I don't mind. Basically, Asuma was like, I'll be sleeping in Kakashi, and basically talk to him strategy, which Choji was saying, I don't mind sleeping with basically Sasuke. Basically Sakura was like, technically I share basically a room with Tsunami, which that means only Naruto and, can't sleep, in a room. Meanwhile, though, Naruto would go up basically, to Kakashi, and, basically enter his room, open the door, and used to go to him. Which Naruto was like, I know you're awake. Which he opened up his one eye. He was like, Hello there, Naruto. And she just sighs like, hello, dog. It's been a while. Which he has a soft smile on his face, which he would nod. He goes, don't move so much. Basically, Naruto basically, conjure basically, magic into his hand again, basically as, well, Sauron would know some healing magic. You have to admit that. Even though he has basically a lot of dark magic, he could have some healing magic on him. Basically, though, he does have a lot of knowledge too, so. As then, basically, Naruto starts healing Kakashi. Basically, Kakashi's like, what are you doing? He goes like, I'm using magic to heal you. First off, I need to heal you basically physically. Your body was pushed to the limit, and even though you suffer from chakra exhaustion, basically your limbs and such could also have some damage. Which Kakashi's like, huh, you're very intelligent. Your file was wrong. I knew it. Which he just smirks like, of course it was. They were made by idiots. Well, technically, it wasn't until 2 years ago. That's where everything changed for me. It's like, I see. As Naruto basically puts a hand up, basically, on his chest, and then he starts basically channeling chakra in him slowly. He goes, you're lucky because I can do this, even though basically my chakra has something with QB, QB in it. It still will heal you, basically not to enough where you can walk and not be chakra exhausted. Which he would say thank you to Naruto. Like, give me a minute, I have to close my window because the rain coming in. So, which Kakashi, I widened a bit. He was like, you know? He goes, I knew for 2 years now. Don't worry, I'm perfectly fine. Well, mentally with it. Physically, there's a lot of new things happening. But she goes, what do you mean? He was like, well, my mom, I think you knew her since, well, he looks at him. Which basically, Kakashi would nod slowly. Which he was sigh, but like, yes, I knew her and your father. So he was like, so you know? He goes, yes. Just want to know, were you going to tell me? He goes, when I thought you were ready, basically I trained you, but you basically were put on to Anbu, surprisingly. He goes, yeah, after 2 years, what happened to me, I basically had to be. I had to be a one-man army. Well, I could have been, unless the council didn't get in my way. Which, he would kind of chuckle at that. So, he would go, what? So basically, after a few minutes, he goes, but what do you mean by, keep his chakra won't harm me? He goes like, technically speaking, it shouldn't. But, yeah, I believe it won't, so we don't have to worry about it. Which basically go like, but what do you mean? Which is just sighs, because this is my own. Well, my chakra, not basically it. The Kyuubi's. So after a few more minutes, Kakashi will be filled up to basically about 80%. As Naruto stops and like, that's all I can do for now. Any more, basically, I'll hurt your coils. Which he basically would, sit up a bit and be like, thank you, Naruto. Hold up. Okay, so as I was saying, he filled up his chakra to 80%, as basically Kakashi would say thank you. And Naruto just sighs, basically tell him basically what the Hokage said, which basically he would slowly nod. Like, oh, then I'll leave Gato to you if needed. But she was, yeah. So, basically, what will happen is very simple. After that, Naruto would go, down and Asuma tell him the situation. And basically, then he'll go up to Kakashi and tell him basically, that he's in charge for now. And the fact is that basically, he also needs to know basically what his team can do. Which he would say basically, surprisingly, Shikamaru well, is the one that basically knows how to do tree walking, so he had him start on water walking. Sasuke and Sakura basically worked on tree walking, and basically he mostly focused on teamwork, which basically Asuma would sigh, like, alright. That means I'm just have to work on the skills and improve them. Which, yeah. So, in a sense, well, what happened is very simple. So, Naruto basically, since he was told he'd be sleeping down, in the same room as Ino, in the living room, he would just sigh and be like, okay, so here's the sleeping arrangements, that. And basically, since it sounded reasonable, would agree. Anyways, yeah, no. I'm just gonna leave this off right here because I'm telling you it's like 4 something, 5 something now, and I'm kind of tired, so I want to get some sleep. But I'll end it like this. So basically Naruto would sleep. Everyone basically would train a bit with Asuma, and basically after that, Asuma would say to Sakura and Sasuke that basically they're pretty good. On the tree walking, but they still, Sakura would be pretty good while Sasuke has a little more time with it, which basically Sasuke would agree, begrudgingly, and yeah. So after basically that, Naruto would also train with Shikamaru, and his taijutsu is, Shikamaru would train too, as it kind of basically seeing that Shikamaru's really, got better at it a bit, and that, well, everyone basically kind of switched around training. So, yeah. Anyways, though. So, that night, after eating dinner or such, Naruto, Ino were, kind of getting ready, as the bed that they had basically was a folded out, bed. I mean, the couch was a folded out bed. As basically Ino asked, so, Naruto, which you look at her like, yes? She was like, so, what is it basically, that you have planned if it basically comes to Gato? He was signed, be like, well, first off, get information from his goons, make a plan, and if needed, attack him. She goes, oh. He goes, yep. Simple as that. She was like, I see. Do you think you'll need any help? He was like, probably not. Depending on how many, guards he has, it could be pretty easy. She goes, oh. That's good to hear. But she goes, yep. So how's there, why are you so worried? She goes, well, simple. I mean, I care. We're teammates. He goes, yeah, I know. I mean, truly. He goes, well, I already apologize. You kind of accepted it, but still. I feel like it was a little bit too easy. He would just chuckle at her and be like, probably will take a lot longer, basically, to fully trust you, but forgiveness is a step forward. Which she would just, nod to that. So, basically, Naruto sitting his on the bed, sitting in her bed, she goes, good night, Naruto. He was like, night. So, what Naruto basically was thinking in his head is, how do I even get there? I need to find the locations. There's a lot of stuff I have to do. I should really make shadow clones and basically spread them out. Yeah, that should work. So after Naruto makes a plan, he basically falls asleep. Ino was thinking though for a few minutes, but like, I wonder basically how can I make him fully forgive me. I mean, even though he does, I still feel like I need to earn it. I figure it out later. Gotta get some sleep. And then she falls asleep. And that's where I'm gonna leave it off, everyone. Hope you guys have a nice night, day, wherever you are. Bye.